What's all this about? How y'all doing tonight? How are we? Tonight, Tuesday night, September 20th, 2022. Still no idea where I'm going to be in 2 months. How y'all doing tonight? Working on, I'm working on this little project to get my head out of my, I don't know, been feeling very fuzzy, a little burned out on Marlin code stuff, so thought I'd pick some new project. Oh, I know what I'm missing. Discord, hold on. I don't know, I guess I quit it because get that thing out of my way when I'm trying to work, right? But I love you all. I love my Discord people. Oh, I haven't posted a link to Discord lately. Let me make sure I have one posted up there. In case you want to join the Discord. I haven't got a patch for voice to go through for people in the Discord. I'm going to work on that. And, other fancy things to make it cute here on Twitch. Twitch up these streams a bit. Let's see what's going on. Oh, right. Marlin. Whoop. Live stream. Boop. Yeah, we're live streaming again. Set status. Streaming stuff. I don't know, whatever. Today. And what is my status? Online. There I am. Streaming stuff. And then I guess I'll share a video. Here's my video. How's that? So this ain't exactly, well, it is actually. It's related to Marlin. I've been printing stuff using Marlin on 2 different printers. Can I do a thing where my face is on here? Oh wait, for OBS, hold on. For OBS we have the desk code thing. There's me. Hi guys. Hello, how you doing? Hi. Too soon for the sentient machine? Maybe not. So let's see what else we got here. Oh. I think I set it up so that I don't have the camera on in these views. Hold on, let me turn on the... Oh, there it is. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And there's that one. And... Look, I have titles. Whoa. No. We're going to be looking at ERRF2022, though. We'll talk about that a little bit. I have my plans. I don't have driver license, so I got to get the shuttle and all that sorted out. If anyone's arriving on, I guess I'm flying out on Thursday. No, I'm flying out Friday morning to arrive in time to do the setup for people like me, starting at 5 p.m. So hopefully I'll be able to get my shuttle, get my drop off my, well, I'm just going to have one bag, my backpack. I'll drop off my bag or whatever and head over to the event. Probably an Uber. Maybe I'll try and flag down someone who's headed over that way. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully I can work out rides as needed, but I won't be needing many. I'm just going to be, like, once I'm at the event, I can be there all day. Just need to get a pizza or whatever occasionally, or something. Anyway, you know how these things work. So, what is this sucker? Well, yeah, so I've been working on this project with, just like the LED matrix for a little while. And just trying to put together something. And finally got a frame that I like for it. Just got these cheap 8x8 picture frames you can get on Amazon. And started printing up some pieces for fitting into this frame, which I will publish later. But, I mean, these projects are all over the place. You've seen them before. Some kind of Arduino driving a WS, 28, 12, 16 by 16 matrix. I need to clean it up a little. It's got some fuzzy pieces in there, but yeah, and just 3D printed some bits to fit in there. I'll take it apart here. Hold on. So of course your matrix. There's your matrix, and your. Well, I've got this bit drilled a hole through, but it doesn't have space for the switch, of course, and knob to fit on it. Hello, there it is. Don't have the space for the knob to fit yet, because it comes in. Oops, I'll show you the rest in a minute. Yeah, there's the other piece. It's cute, but yeah, that's just comes up to about here. So I'm gonna have to drill a slightly bigger opening here, and make a knob that has a collar on it. Just shove it down in there, or finagle some other method, but I think that'll work. Just a 3D printed knob that fits down in there. This is going to sit at a bit of an angle, so it's not like if the knob's a little low or whatever, a little big, it'll still not get in the way. So, but I'm going to try and make it a knob that is easy to turn and stuff. And then I'll also have a button to one side of it, here or here. I'm not sure where yet. Maybe here. Sorry, here. But yeah, so these are pretty cool little wooden frames. Of course, you could 3D print this part easily enough. For my next batch, I'll probably 3D print some of these because they'll be easier and these aren't cheap. They're cheap, but not cheap at the same time. I got a set of 2 for like, I don't know, 16 bucks or something. But they come with this plastic. It's not even glass, so that's the one thing. It's good sturdy plastic though. Polythene or something, I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, so that's the one piece that fits in there for the matrix to fit on. I made that about this thick, 3 millimeters, I think. And that works out pretty well. And just enough material to get out to the corners. And that's based on this. And then there's a piece of ordinary typing paper here. And of course the inner piece right there. So I ain't no complex designer like Zach Friedman, but when pressed, I can make a thing that has 3 or 4 parts that are simple. But yeah, so that's the basic idea. Really, really simple. You just need this to break up the paper in front, really, and to cover and give it a nice look. And it doesn't have it's a bit of the lines kind of show up on there, as you can see. A little bit liney. So I don't know, I could definitely improve the print quality. But whatever, it's good enough. It does the trick, and from across the room, it's very nice looking. So there you go. You could just use construction paper and a laser if you really wanted to for that bit. But yeah, I just needed something that I could put the paper in between. So that's only 1 millimeter thick. And then that's your inner piece, and then of course your matrix goes on that. And now the next part is the tricky, is where I'm a little stuck, is just how to make the next bits all fit in place. This would be the bottom. I don't have any. I should probably write on this one with like one of those silver markers this side up. But yeah, right now that's the. So I desolder these wires, desolder all these electronics, probably pull the pins off and just solder everything directly. I want the make a little mount for in here so that it's easy to get to the USB plug, and then mount it all in there. And then I'll have to make some piece. But the only mounting option I have right now for things to stay in place is there's these grooves under here that normally these little bits go into. And if I make, it's too thick now for these to go in and fit with the matrix in place. Although it does with just this plastic piece, so it's really close. So I'm looking at making some kind of new piece that'll fit in these grooves and just kind of hold this in place, and then have mounting for the rest. And that's good that I have this space underneath, because that gives me access to the little grooves under here. So I could make a mounting that is basically just folds and then spring loads out, and then so that, or whatever, it just has little maybe pieces out that I can push in like this, and then they spring out and hold it in place. So I can push it in, boop, it stays in place, and then holds this, which needs to just be held down. Everything needs to be held down. But these grooves are pretty good. So whatever I make has to fit in there pretty well, and I have to figure out what the thickness of these grooves is with my feeler gauge. I'll figure that out soon. But yeah, that's where I was with this, and yeah, all the pieces are built up in open SCAD. It was my tool of choice, and of course Prusa slicer, because why not? You know, gotta use the Prusa slicer. It does a fine job. I don't know, I went for some simple infill. But yeah, that was printed on the BQB1SE, I want to say. Really nice printer. I do have to re-level it between prints, but that's probably not so abnormal. You know, after the thing's been cooling up and cooling down, heating up, cooling down, heating up. Who knows what shape the bed is in, so. But it is a bit of a slow thing. There's definitely tuning I would do to the firmware settings. So I might tweak that. But I probably, between this machine, that machine, and the CR10S1, they're kind of my two favorites at the moment. Also have, of course, the belt printer, which I haven't really had a use for yet, but I think I'll get into printing like a big old sword or something to mount. Or maybe it would be good to print out, you know, another new Marlin sign, something big, and just like really put it to the test, and then also do a time lapse, which will look cool as a thing to have for Marlin, you know. Surprised no one's done one yet, but yeah, I can certainly do that and set it up with a time lapse. That'd be fun. Probably be best to use my phone for that. I don't know. Well, we'll see. Anyway. Anyway. Hello. Uh, yeah, so. Oh, it's been a little bit tough couple of weeks. Been a little depressed. Don't know why. Just a lot of work, not much reward. I guess. It's made me feel a little bit unbalanced in that way. But hey, I do it. I just need to build up my resilience because it's not about me, man. You know, I'm beside the point. As long as I have my, you know, good place to be and enough time to do this stuff and keep up with things, and that I have supportive and understanding contributors, it keeps me going. And of course, I can't continue on without thanking everyone who has contributed as a Patreon or on GitHub sponsors. You guys have, you know, saved my life repeatedly, and your continued support is ultimately like really what keeps me going. I'm really looking forward to seeing people at ERRF, although I guess some of the folks I was hoping to see aren't going to be there. You can only do one a year. Murph might be your better choice. I don't know, but ERRF is definitely something to catch if you can. I enjoy it. It's a big old, you know, open floor. It's got a great, you know, space. Um, it's not quite as homey and country as the Murph event, um, but it's all right. It's a good space, and everyone there is cool, and you get to see a lot of cool stuff. Um, and this year, of course, they're always in October, so I think that encourages more cosplay and stuff like that. So that's good. Um, anyway, let's bring up OpenSCAD and see if I can't figure out maybe one more little thing for my project before I burn out on that. Let's go with open, and where am I keeping my stuff? Pixel grid. I'm calling it my frame. Um, Maybe it's this one. Frame, there's the STL, which I've been exporting, so you recognize those if I. Has it downloaded that file yet? Sorry, it's only in the cloud at the moment. I've been using it on doing my editing on the laptop, and running in here, and it was great to get the things printing. On, I ended up using the B1 SE for both, so it was like one after the other. It would be nice to have done them in parallel, but I was like, I would get paranoid enough about one print going, let alone two at the same time, or multiple. But I'll get used to it. I'll get better at it. The thing I really want to do is do the next thing I want to do print-wise is set up some ringing tests and then do some experiments with anti-ringing technologies, which we have been talking about a little bit in the dev channel on Discord. I'm actually meaning to add a dedicated channel for input shaping and that kind of thing. When we were last discussing it, I want to just catch up with the topic. Today at 1:44. Okay, that's before my time. This is a topic I haven't read. Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. You know, I'm not going to share my Discord screen with you guys. Sorry. It's just that it's not necessarily that it's, you know, going to be exposing anyone or anything. It's just these are meant to be private, so I want to honor that and just keep these channels private. But I'll certainly read them out, even though they're the stuff that's fine, you know, nothing too controversial, but I hope. Let's see. Yeah, so, you know, this is one of the things. I'm sorry, I'm reading this to myself, but we're having a little discussion about what we can do input shaping wise, and of course we have a different model of planner in Marlin than other firmwares do. I haven't looked in huge close detail at what they do, but basically, RepRap firmware has a a motion planner, which is like I want to say it's got these like components that I don't know. It has it creates these motion bits that I don't know. It's got its own thing going on. It's hard to describe, but it's definitely it's built up in parts that are much more atomic and low level in a way than what Marlin has. Like Marlin is very much, you know, you could say it's got a high level concept of stuff because it, you know, it's kind of going from G code and then it's okay, what are we going to do with that? Okay, well now we got to make little segments. Okay, then what do we do with those segments? Then we put them here. And it's very, you know, forward procedural thinking. But it makes, you know, it's sensible and it does produce fine results. And, you know, the segments themselves are like, oh, well, we'll just do these steps in this time, you know, and it's driven from a very kind of like almost a more primitive interrupt kind of system. And it's also meant to be, you know, very optimal. So do as little as possible as you can, you know, calculation in the planner, and once you've planned your moves or while it's, you know, actually doing the moves, try to keep the calculation down. So do your calculation much in advance of doing the moves basically. And so, you know, it's been very conservative in that way. Of course, with newer processors, we can be much more sophisticated. We can break up timers in all kinds of abstract ways and do other things that build it into a more abstract system if we wanted, but we would have to then have kind of disparate systems. And it might become harder and harder to maintain support for both AVR, older stuff and newer stuff. So how much do we want to sacrifice one for the other? And I do feel like we do sometimes sacrifice for keeping the same model that is built on this very kind of tick-based, you would say, or like interval-based, like time to the next step-based. Like it's built up in a very sort of simplified way, a very low-level way. The end result ends up being the motion is, close to what you could predict, so to speak. But I think that the other motion systems are like more predictable. Like in advance, you could say, oh, we've calculated everything in advance. We know exactly how long this whole move is going to take, and we have time associated with each thing, and there's an actual tick associated with each thing, like a timestamp associated with every single step, you could even say. Um, and so, depending on how fast your clock is, and you basically go by the fastest clock. If you're running a 16 megahertz processor, it's running at 16 million ticks per second, so it's counting fast and rolling over a lot. So you've got to make sure that your timers are all your timings are set up in advance, and everything is like a step takes this many ticks of the clock and all this other stuff. It gets a bit annoying, and in a way, like supporting it in the way that we do does maybe make it more abstract in some ways than it needs to be, but also I don't know, less. I don't know. It kind of is interesting because it's dynamic. I think there is something in the word dynamic does show up somewhere in these other firmware's motion planning systems. But yeah, the general idea is that we have a certain approach to motion, and it's like how much can we maintain what we have while also adding this anti-ringing stuff. So we're talking a little bit about it, and a couple of us are brainstorming, and we're just kind of thinking it's not, how complex of a solution slash, you know, diagnostic do we need to really take care of the issue. And the other thing was S-curve acceleration. Now S-curve acceleration is the the thing where it speeds up gradually and slows down gradually, and rather than speeding up linearly, continuously. That is to say, starting out accelerating and continuing accelerating at the same acceleration rate, right? Right. So what's happening is, you're basically when you increase acceleration, you're basically creating a reverse force, an opposing force. Excuse me. It generates a ring, and then you have to look at how that ring is manifested in different directions, so to speak, and based on that you can take the ringing out. But we have a general approach too, which has been this S-curve acceleration. Yeah. So S-curve is like, again, like anytime that you say change direction or change speed, you are introducing this ringing stuff. So you could say that basically, even if you're going left to right and you're not changing your direction, if you suddenly slow down and then speed up again, you're introducing a pulse at the time when you start to slow down and at the time when you start to speed up again. Those pulses are introduced, one going one way, one going the other way, and you have to have some kind of you have to figure out some kind of cancellation for those. So the question is, where do we put those cancellations, and in what manner do we predict or generate them? And we have this whole routine where we're doing trapezoid acceleration, also S-curve acceleration. And the bigger question, of course, for us is and remains, does S-curve acceleration take care of it just as well without having to go and do the sophisticated, implementation of input shaping in the most formal sense? I mean, of course, we would certainly welcome someone introducing something that was input shaping and actually worked as an input shaping and generated, rather than the trapezoids we now generated something that was, built more on the whole from the ground up for the purpose of input shaping. But using what we have, you know, we've got this thing building these trapezoids and connecting them up block to block and so forth. And that gets to be the tricky part as well. Um, and like, you know, where do we need, can we, should we have a separate, like, imposing, like, multiplier that is affecting that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, rather than try to, like, change the trapezoid that we're generating, just create a thing that uh, says, oh, at this particular step, change the multiplier of the acceleration or whatever, or change the acceleration by this much, or suddenly change here, like, or just change the factor at this point. Like, could have a little table. I think there's that. That is one of the general ideas. Is you have these little tables of like, oh yeah, um, instead of doing this ramp we're going to have a couple extra numbers, and it's going to do this ramp instead. So it ends up being a curvy ramp. The trouble I have with input shaping is that it produces these rounded corners on things. And you know, if you don't care about rounded corners, then it can be great, you know, but I don't particularly like the rounded corneriness on things. I want things to be dimensionally accurate. Um, and I think that rounding corners is cutting corners. um, and it could even be, you know, piling up material in those corners, although I don't know. I doubt it, probably. It's fine, but so yeah, then there's the question, yeah, how to make a thing that mitigates ringing without introducing those other artifacts in the corners. Because it's a trade-off. You're not getting ringing, but you are getting these roundy, extra smooth corners that can kind of look a little weird sometimes. So you have to choose. And you know, if you want high detail, of course you can turn these things on and off as needed for the print or for the part of the model you're on. So I don't know. There's probably reasons to choose one over the other at different points. So I don't know. The last part is, yeah, in the frame of reference of the commanded motion, I liken it to gravity, because yeah, you're basically, um, right, it changes the point where the oscillator will come to rest. As the oscillator is not in the rest position after the change in acceleration, it oscillates, right? Um, right, right. And in general, like it's about kind of some of it about the energy. Like, I mean, if you introduce a pulse at the moment when the pendulum is at its farthest, you know, like pushing someone on a swing, it just makes the pulse stronger, and you get that, you know, um, that big weird increase in resonance. So what we would find is if we made this into something you can adjust with a knob as you're printing, is you would get these increases and decreases in resonances as you messed with it. That would be the general idea. But you know, also like you need a test object that really revealed that a lot. Like, how do you make an object that does lots of ringing stuff? You know, starting and stopping, for example. You just make something with a lot of holes in it, and then print that. Something with a lot of things that go in and out, features, and then you know, um, starts and stops. I don't know. There's probably a lot of good ringing tests out there that you could borrow from. But the thing I mainly want is I have a wall that's long enough to measure a few of the vibration, you know, artifacts and count them, and be able to, and then be able to see knowing how fast you moved that at that time, and then being able to figure out the timing from that. So if you have 10, you know, 10 lines or whatever, and you count them up, and that means 10 oscillations, and you know that 1 centimeter within 1 centimeter, and you know it was moving at 1 centimeter per second, then you have a 10 hertz oscillation. Is that right? Something like that, maybe 20. I don't know. It depends on how you're counting them. Fun stuff. Anyway, over here we have screen sharing. I took a walk today just to get some sun, some air, clear my head. Been a bit ridiculous this week. Just a few things piling up all at once with the moving and or you know, to not knowing where I'm going to be, and then also having to go to the event and prepare. And I don't know. I'm going to prepare a talk, although I don't know I'll be arranging to give one, but I'll have one ready just in case. Basically, I just want to give a talk. I'm going to call it something like Marlin's still cool, you know, still cool. Even though there's other cool firmwares, Marlin is still cool. But yeah, I just kind of want to go over all the things again that have been, I mean, it's been so long. I just kind of want to go over the feature list and talk about the new things that have been added over the last couple of years and how things have improved. So I'm going to be, you know, yes, in the next week or so, working heavily on that and getting out the notes and making slides and all that stuff. Be fun. And I also we have this animated thing, all the you know, the animated Git history using Gorse, and that's kind of cool. Probably show that off. Well, anyway, did this thing ever download? Yes, it finally did download. So anyway, here's now. Unfortunately, this app being single-threaded doesn't necessarily benefit a whole lot from being on an Ultra Mac, but it's not too bad. I don't quite know why the background color keeps changing, but we'll forgive it. So yeah, this is where I'm at. That's the wooden frame on the outside there. Well, the second piece I designed there. Then I guess I'll open the file in the old Finder. To get to. All right, so yeah, this was originally not meant to be used with a frame, so that's not quite. Whoop, there we are. How's that? Go get OBS? Okay. We good there, Twitch? How's it going, everyone? Once again, I'd like to remind you I have a Patreon. And that Marlin212 will be out shortly. It's mainly a bug fix patch release, not a huge release. Really just trying to keep moving it forward and get it solid. I want 2.1 to be really good and 2.2 to be impeccable, especially if we can get some kind of, you know, of that cancellation in there. Oh, you'll notice I don't have my Marlin sign up today. I actually been trying to figure out a stand for it as well. I have some plans for a stand. So yeah, this is OpenSCAD I'm using. Oh, whoops. Whoops for you. Not everyone likes OpenSCAD. I'm not particularly stoked to use it either for this sort of thing, because it would be nice to experiment and fool around more and stuff, but yeah. So there's that piece, boop. And then there's also, I just made the pixel grid itself as well so I could measure that. And then it has a bump on the back, which is there just because it doesn't actually have a bump. I kind of want to move it down. If I have it right, the front of this is like, I actually have a bunch of dimensions on this as far as how thick it is and stuff. But I believe it's I actually add this back. Yeah, so there's actually a piece of plexiglass in front of these, and then yeah, I see what's going on there. Just being centered. You should just basically something like that. Don't even need this translate to lose it. Old shite. All right. And what is PF front? 6.6. Okay, so that's good to know. So yeah, the front part is about 6.6, and then there's a little 0.9 is probably the glass, you know. Lexi glass equals 0.9. I'm calling it plexiglass, but I don't know if it is. Actually, it came with a laminated thing on it, so I could probably find out what it is. Right. And then, of course, then I have this like stuff for the pixel meshes. What? Um, and you can see I didn't set the heights here. Mesh Z, all right, yeah. Mesh Z2, I actually made it. I ended up making it 3, I think. Hello, Mesh Z2. See what's going on with that. What if I change it to 8? Yeah, not even seeing it at all. What's wrong with that? Let's try this. We'll do MZ instead of Mesh Z. Make any difference? Meh. I guess it looks like it's 3, but I don't know. No? What's going on with that? What do you make of that? Let's see. Oh, well, one thing I make of it is that this is not automatically reloading or something, is it? That's not supposed to be showing if I've commented it out. Are we showing the right thing? Hello? Hello? Are you sure? Yeah, claims it is. Oh, you know what it might be is there's an error and I'm not seeing it because I hid the thingy. Hide editor. Wah. Oh, there it is. Hide console. What? Oh, okay. Sure enough, look at that 179. Doy. What did I do? Oh, I forgot to put a semicolon. All it takes, folks. Sometimes that's all it takes. All right. Yeah, I always forget syntax errors will mess you up that way. I kind of want to say mesh Z plus mesh Z2 divided by 2. Kind of piling these on top of each other here so I kind of get a sense of the space I have available. Do this actual, very close. There we go. This one should be like mesh Z1 divided by 2, right? Yeah. I'm doing the centering thing, but I want it to be, I want the bottom to not be centered. I want the bottom to be raised up by half of that. Righty, okay. So basically the only thing I need to worry about on my pixel grid is the space for those 3 wires, and then they can go to the board. I'm pretty much going to pull everything off the board. Even though it came with all the pins pre-soldered, I'm going to unsolder everything. Or maybe I'll just bug it out and squish them all to the side. Hate to do that because it's a mess, but I don't know. Desoldering is also a mess, a hassle, but I'm not going to do all that right now. I just needed to do this physical project. I'm probably going to hit up the Prusa i3 next because that's another thing that's long neglected, that's been sitting in the pile, unfinished. But let's see how that works. So if I make this 4, yeah, it goes up. Good. I'm pretty sure I made it 3. If I can measure this, I'm sure it'll come out 3. And then this thing on top of that. Mesh Z1 plus mesh Z2. And then I want to say how thick did I make this thing? Pixel grid. Pixel grid itself is pretty thin. Thin. How thin is it? It's so thin. Here it is, Pix T. 0.25 millimeters thin. That's thin. So yeah, not bad. Plus Pix T2 divided by 2. I divided by 2. There you go. Oh yeah, and then there's the piece of paper is in there too. Should I measure? So I should throw that in there. Piece of paper, no probs. Paper, how thick is paper? Like 0.1 millimeters, something like that. We'll make it 0.2, thick paper. Thick paper. Oh, this paper works great. I'm really pleased with how it looks at the distances that I've set up are pretty perfect. I didn't light it up for you. I'll have to do that next. It looks pretty good. It looks good. I have a couple demo routines on there to exercise the old pixel grid. The knob code doesn't work for some reason. I gotta figure that out. That's being weird. See where we're at here. Okay, so yeah, pixel mesh me rounded cube mx tx tx is whatever it is. I think I ended up making it F inner. It's probably paper. Cube. I get the paper in there? Where'd it go? Oh, forgot to center it. There we go. All right, there it is. Piece of paper. Very silly. How thin is it? 0.2 millimeters thin. Okay, we got that going. Now, what goes next? Something to mount the thingy. Oh, I should make my electronics. Let's see. So, how big were they? How big is a nano? That's a nano there, which I'm not going to need over here. We have an Arduino Nano, which is my first choice just because it's inexpensive, but I actually do have another board which I might consider using, although it has a completely different USB connector. Not a problem, it's got a more common USB connector. But I've been kind of thinking I should use up these. Either way, I have a board called Tiny USB, I think it is. I have to look it up and find out what it's about. I don't have the, but it's got, everything ready to solder right on the back. All the pads are exposed, really easy to, if you set up something to solder it onto, it should be pretty easy to make it work. So if I could use these nice pads, that would be perfect. And then, but yeah, it's just a really nice little circuit. Haven't tried. I did put some blink sketch on here at one point. That's as much as I've done with it. Pretty cool. But let's light this thing. Let's light this thing up. See what it looks like. I brought out my power supply, but then I put it on the wrong side of the room. Okay, there we go. Let's plug this in proper like. Here we go. Hold on a second. It's nothing too exciting to show here, just the usual pixel grid shenanigans. So yeah, we'll be talking about a little bit about depression here today. I don't usually suffer it much, but when it hits me, it's like it's a strange visitor, strange one. All right, but I never get so depressed that I want to I sometimes want to run away from everything, and that definitely happens. But then I do, and that resolves everything. Just running off. Or trying a new scene. That's the thing is like, rather than end yourself, you can always just reinvent yourself, right? So, but try to be kind. Try to be kind in the way you do that sort of thing. Been watching those true crime podcasts, get on that, get stuff getting on your nerves. Okay, so let's switch this over here. Go. We'll close up for you. So right now we have, there it is, pretty good look. And plug her in. I don't know how the camera is going to handle the change in light conditions, but we'll deal with it. Ooh, very nice. So I have an initial pattern to just show which side is up. Then I got a little flame pattern here that we play. And then switch over to a next pattern. Just basically just colored dots. Doesn't look as good on the camera, but this is these are very bright, vivid colors, mostly pastels. Because that's what happens when you just mix random colors. You get a lot of pastels. Um, but yeah, I want to do this as like a kind of just a fake computer panel kind of thing. Like if you needed a modular panel, you just get out your grid and run this sketch. And I changed some colors. I have a red one, a white one, yellow, more white, bigger squares, multicolor, and then same idea, bigger squares. So you could conceivably, of course, combine these into like things with bigger pixels, turn a 16 by 16 into an 8 by 8, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. There's no bleed between the pixels, which is nice. There's a nice clean look. And we have a bigger one, of course. But that's pretty much the whole thing, then back to the flame pattern. Yeah, but just something to play with to kind of get it started. I'm liking it. Yeah. So good use of the old picture frame thing. The knob is going to change speed or do other things based on what's being viewed. And then I'll have like a button next to it for maybe just going to a menu or something, and then back where you get to select from a bunch of things, and then another button to do selecting. I'm not sure. This actually has a, it's going to be an encoder with a click, so that'll be cool. But yeah, I've just been meaning to make one of these because I love the little pixel grid things. And making one in the shape of a picture frame and also getting it in such a way that it'll really fit on the wall. That's going to be the other trick. I just really want to get it such that everything fits nicely inside and that I can hopefully reuse the backing that I have. The existing backing would be nice. Even if I have to make other mounting for it. At this moment, it's definitely not usable in its current form. Pretty sure can't use it in its current form at all. But let's pull this out at least and we'll see how well it fits in there. See if this is the bottom, then it's going to be going in like these. But yeah, at this point you can see can't get these in. Oh, nope, no way, no way. So it's too thick at this point to use this back, but that's what I really wanted to check was how much space do I have? And realistically, maybe 3 millimeters of space to work with before I have to start having things bulging out the back. Now, I don't mind bulging out the back if that's how it comes down to. But 3 millimeters is a lot to work with. I can, I mean, of course, the grid is in there and the wires and stuff. I can do, one thing I can do, for example, is I can scrape out some of this so there's room for the wires. Because this is pretty thick. So I could cut a hole in this, even drill a hole, Dremel out a little line here or whatever, just make space for things as needed. I thought about also just putting the electronics on the outside, and if I could get this to fit nicely, just stick the electronics on the outside and run the wires out. That could work too. I don't know. You want these to integrate really nicely with some existing object. That's kind of like that's kind of my next thing is I want to do like modifying. If I'm going to do more electronics projects, it's like modifying existing objects with 3D printing and electronics parts can be more fun than trying to make whole hog things. Like with making those whole hog things, like you want to make some like vintage looking radio that's actually a USB radio or something. Like, I mean, you could do all kinds of clever things, but. So yeah, this is one of the things under here right now. We have the groove. So it's just behind this 3 millimeter thick thing, which is too thick to fit in the groove. So we know that, at least we know that much. Probably about 2 millimeters of room there. Not really sure. What do you guesstimate that groove is there? Maybe 2. I suppose I can just try shoving some things in there. I've got a few things that are pre-printed. Here's an SD card. Look at that. Does that fit in the groove? No. SD card is too thick to fit in the groove. What about a circuit board? Does that fit in the groove? Just pretty much that's about the size of the groove, is a little thicker than a circuit board. So anyway, yeah, if I can use this, that would be neat. The idea I have is I'll just upload all the sketches onto the, the patterns and things will just be pre-uploaded rather than having to use an SD card or whatever. But if I wanted to add an SD card later, that could certainly be done. And then, yeah, so we're looking at something like this, where this sticks out, and we have a way to plug it in. Just sit down in here. That would be fine too. I've thought about chiseling out more of this wood here so that this can fit down deeper, but it's like gets so close to the edge that it's just, I don't know. I do it carefully, it'll be fine, but at the moment I just have it set up to be, pretty sturdy in there, but it's going to have to be glued in or something at some point. Also this wire, like that's the other thing, is if I did chisel it out, I would take these wires out as well. All these pre-wired bits here. That's the other bit, is desolder these. I don't know, all this planning. It's like I want to go ahead and just jump in, but like I've always been very conservative about that kind of thing because I've never had material to waste, It's like I have to get it right on the first try, or else that's it. I have to wait months or whatever. That was kind of what I was used to growing up. Now I'm like, oh, okay. I have resources now. I can actually try things. But yeah, I definitely need to have this be fairly well mounted and have the USB come out the side. That's the other thing, is it definitely has to come out the side. And the side with the knob on it seems the most sensible, I guess. What do you think? Probably. That's what I'm thinking. That's the most sensible thing. But yeah, so I'm going to look this one up. I think it's called a tiny USB, something like that. Tiny USB board. Getting started. Tiny USB. Let's see what it looks like. Reference, index, info. And let's see it. Tiny USB is an open source USB host device for embedded systems, et cetera, info. Well, maybe Tiny USB isn't this device at all. Ported devices. Oh, here we go. Broadcom, Progressive. Here's some boards. Trying to find my way through these boards here. Yeah, I don't really know which one this is. I have to look it up. I'm pretty sure it's something like Tiny USB something. That's the platform. New Tiny? I don't know. New Vuitton. See what Google says. No. No. This one doesn't have any really good marks on it. That's the thing. I've got to look close up at the, let's look up close at the processor. Well, I haven't opened up Twitch chat either here. Make sure you're available, Twitch. Hey, Twitch people. Oop. Look at all my photos. Mostly pictures of my feet. Let's see. That's a neat one. That's kind of similar to what I have here. Not exactly, though. It's interesting. It does not, it has some kind of USB, it looks like bridge, but it's one of these chip bridges instead of the CAN bridge, like here, like a little CAN. I don't know what those are called. I just call it a CAN. Not to be confused with CAN bus. Not this one. Beacon side, yeah. Sure, it has geek inside. Well, if I put a sketch on this, I must have known what it was, right, at some point. So let me see if it's in here. Pixel Grid Nano game frame. So yeah, this was originally inspired by the game frame, if in case you were wondering about that. Yeah, and they were initially inspired by the game frame. So this is how they kind of got theirs to fit into their little box, but they made their box really deep. Fit a lot in your deep box. I'm trying to use an existing picture frame, which is kind of silly. But you know, I can obviously 3D print parts to make it all work. It'll all work. Really interested in parts that'll make the back fit. And if I can use those grooves, I'm not counting on it. They're not exactly the most robust way to mount things with grooves. Groove mounting. Darn it. Board is dead. All right, I was gonna get out the camera and find out. Hold on. First thing, go to my channel, go to chat. Hey chat people, what's up? Okay, good. Now I just wanted to use my camera. Get a close up. Tell you it's got a all right, I'll tell you what it's got. Hold on. I guess it's maybe a Broadcom MX200X266. Oh boy. Meanwhile, the chip on the USB connector is a Mini 54T AN340GG. Okay, interesting. Look that up. I'm gonna say MX20DX206. MX20, maybe I just say MX20. Can't really say that it says MX20 there. Oh man. I'm gonna connect it up by USB and it'll tell me by USB what it is, probably. Something like that. Let's see. Is it MX20 or get the camera out like one more time and take a closer look with the, you know, wet the chip or something. Okay. There you are. MX20? Yes. Definitely. Wait. Oh wait, maybe it's 4. That's different from M, that's for sure. Let's take a closer look here. Okay. Now I want to say 4x20b x266. 4x20b? I don't really know. H2N4. Now I'm thinking that's the USB. But it is running at 16 megahertz. It looks like it's got a 16 megahertz clock on it. Back to this tiny USB board. Okay, I see a lot of like these tiny USB boards. I don't know. What do you think? Does it make sense to try and hook it up by USB and see what it comes back as? And try it, I guess. Let's see. Do I have a proper plug for it to test it with? I do. A little slow today. Oy. Well, it's late. It's late-ish. I'm going to be having dinner soon. Just thought I'd check in with you guys and say hi. Let you know I'm still here. Not, doing all right, in spite of things. I'm definitely still a bit mad that people were. Oops. Didn't want that anyway. Wanted was this. Here we go. Okay, let's see if, so I've got my blink sketch going here. Let's see what this thing says when I connect to it by serial. I'll try using Visual Studio Code. Can I monitor? Bluetooth port? No. Let's see, where's the upload file? That's interesting. I guess that's a binary upload, maybe? Well, anyway. File to upload. Nothing, please. Interesting. All right, well, let me see if I can just look at this in the device manager. System report. On USB, we have, it says it's a teensy Arduino. I guess I should have known that. That's cool. How did I not know it was a teensy Arduino? I knew I had a bunch of teensies around. That's cool. I didn't realize this was one of them. Cool. Well, maybe this is the way to go. I mean, teensy 16 megahertz, that's fine, right? Should be fine. I don't know much about this particular one, but let's take a look at the teensy Arduino, which is cool. That means I have a data sheet here for it somewhere. I'm sure someone watching this stream later is like, teensy, teensy, it's teensy. Dude, it's teensy. All right, teensy Arduino it is. Probably a 3.2 board. Teensy, please. Let's go to this one. Looks like this one. Looks like teensy USB development board. Mostly, because it's got the little can next to it. See, that's on PJRC. Let's go there. Hello. Yep, sure enough. So yeah, 3.2. So it is a. I was close. MX200X256. I think mine's a 266 though. Could be wrong. No, maybe 256. It's kind of what it looks like. All right, cool. Well, that's cool. So yeah, this has basically the main thing is I just want to make sure I have 5 volts in a good amount of current with those 5 volts. 5 volts, 2 amps or something. I don't know what it needs for this this little board. Probably not that much. But when it's at full brightness and like lots of LEDs are on at the same time, like basically I would run a test where I turn them all on at full brightness with every LED on and make sure that it can handle that current, even though that's not going to be ever used that way. Just to make sure. All right, cool. Got the chat up, even though I'm only going to be here a few more minutes. Just thought I would show this off. So yeah, this is coming along well. I'm liking it. Try not to bang on the mic too hard, but yeah, it's coming along. I've got blink. I have blink. So yeah, that's funny that I didn't recognize it as a Teensy 3.2, but that's great. That's exactly what I'm happy to use. Although it would be neat if it was an LC, but or even a 2, that would be neat. But it is also, it's supposed to be, that's interesting. I noticed that the clock on it said 16, but it runs at 72, so I guess that means it's using a multiplier, or it's doing something with the chip. I mean, 5, that 72 doesn't go even to 16 evenly. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it didn't, maybe that's not what it meant. But as I look at it, I'm like, well, wait a minute, maybe it is the USB development board because of that, like, funky other chip on there, but where is it? Oh, the one over by the one here, that one. That's supposed to be the clock, I think. But hey, if it's 72 megahertz, that's crazy. You know, it's almost overkill. I almost feel guilty using this just because its form factor is nice when it has so much megahertz. It's like the point of having this is really to be, maybe even the Teensy 4 is to be able to do like audio processing and stuff like that, you know. Heavy duty stuff, you know. Almost feels cheaty and wasteful just to use it to do a pixel grid. But it's what I've got without pins right now. all that desoldering of the other one's gonna be so annoying. Who wants to do all that? Oh, okay. There we go. There we go. We're back. So yeah, the next part is, yeah, maybe figure out the mounting and how I want to do the next part of this. It's a bit of a challenge because it is, again, it's a retrofit to a weird situation. So how do you get it to work? I don't know. I don't know. Hot glue, I'm like, I see hot glue in the future. I hate hot glue, having to use it. I mean, I like it when it's the right thing, it's great. But I'm also looking at this and going, well, I've got to get something that holds everything in place. And the grooves inside here, the grooves inside this thing are kind of ideal for some kind of holder to keep things in place, if only, you know, could just make something that holds it. Because at that point, like I could also do, like I could make screw holes or something like that, and then just screw this on the back. Or I could make something that has some grooves in it for this to slide into, so this can slide in, and then whatever the back piece is that fits on the inside. Like I'm kind of seeing, I kind of have an idea in my mind of like, I can see how I'd get things to fit under the grooves and have mounting and hold everything in place. I'm going to definitely mess with it soon. Very soon. My next task tomorrow, I guess, is really to catch up on pull requests and things and get next, excuse me, get the next release out. I don't feel like there's anything holding it back, really. It's just, again, it is just a maintenance release with a few extra bug fixes, a couple little enhancements to existing features, nothing too new. Did update the config version and the EEPROM version and stuff, so either way, you know, it's going to be a good solid release, I think. You're gonna like it. So, all right. I'm going to take off, and I just wanted to check in Tuesday night, and it's pretty chill here in Austin. I've been meaning to get out more and explore more and meet and greet a little more, but it's tricky. It's trickier to get to know people, especially after so much of it was spent during the pandemic. Um, Something that I can use that can spring load in here with get into those grooves. That's all I'm thinking about right now. Get this grooves. Spring load, and then also hold the edges, and then also hold the electronics in place, and then also have mounting for the back piece. Somehow have mounting for this. Much thought. These things aren't going to be used anymore, so I could drill them out and use the holes that are there, and maybe keep the rivets too. I don't know. No, probably not. Looks like I would just have to snip them off basically, and then if I wanted, I could still drill little holes in them using like the Dremel or something, and put little screws in there. But meh. Like as I look at the inner back of this, I'm like, that maybe is the place. Maybe what I really want to do is do all the mounting, everything to the inner back of this, and then put this in such a way that it fits in here with everything ready to go on it. Because like I actually have, you've got the area that's taken up by the LED, but then all this stuff around the edges out here is completely free area for whatever wiring stuff. And I don't know, maybe I will put the USB plug on its own like thing, wire it out to a separate wire. Can I do that? I guess I could wire it to another plug, female to female kind of thing, male to female adapter. But I don't know, I think I'd rather have the board be the thing that is the USB plug. So yeah, got to figure that out and figure out where it's going to stick out as well. So that kind of does mean that the board is going to be outside the back of this if I want the USB to be available and stuff. So I could, yeah, I guess I could see poking it through and having it so that you can actually see the electronics on the back, which would be kind of neat. I think that would be kind of neat. I'm gonna look at that. That would be kind of cool. I wish I had a laser right now so I could go through and I could just poke holes for where the pins are on the board and they would fit through. Get that nice laser cutting, but no laser cutting for me. I'll have to, if I do want to do something like that, I'll have to, again, to get out the Dremel and maybe attach it to the 3D printer and CNC my way through. I have some other methods, of course, to do that sort of thing. You can use a, take the board and just paste it on there and just use the holes in the board as your guide. Being very careful not to destroy my teensy, like actually drill through the tiny holes. Or I could just mark them, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, if this ended up being the board, that would be kind of cool. The question is then, what kind of glue would hold it in place well enough so that you could have the, be able to plug this really hard to move plug in and out without it having breaking. So, I'm thinking it makes sense to put a couple of pins in here maybe is the way to do it, and stick them through and use it kind of like a stapler where you go poke through and then bend them and then do it for as many pins as I need to really hold it in place. On the other hand, I have a board that has pins on it already, so I could just figure out a way to poke it through and bend all those pins down. I don't know, it's tricky. But that makes kind of the most sense to me actually, is to have it on the outside the back here and then have this be adapted somehow to fit in here. So it still kind of fits inside. And the only thing I need space for is the wires really at that point. And then the wiring is just a question of, So I think that's my favorite option. And then I'll still have to 3D print some piece to do the mounting to get the back to stay on. So I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. I have to try and visualize. It's wish me luck. Anyway, I'm gonna order a burrito and get out of here. Get out of your hair. So yeah, thanks for everything. As usual, check the links below for options to help out the project. Again, I'm gonna be back to the configurator in the next, probably in the next stream. But in the next couple days, I'll get the next release of Marlin out, and so I can get back to focusing on this. I'm taking it a lot slower these days on Marlin, which may. And I was even thinking of locking the project just because I want to get everything solid and really just not have so much new stuff coming in, and there's a lot of bugs that are just kind of like lingering that need fixing, and I'm like, if we just lock it and then just attended to the issues that are there only, and then just wait, get those out of the way, and then boom, then do open it back up again. We're back in business, we're open for business, and then take the next round of complaints, and then but if we can really whip through like the pile of and there isn't a huge pile, but there's enough bug reports, and if we could really whip through them. Most of them are UI based quirky things. Some of them are like Z didn't raise the right way after resuming, which can be annoying. It's like there's always something with print resume or power loss recovery or whatever. So yeah, anyway, different approaches are being considered, so for the future. Anyway, yeah, catch you guys real soon. Love you. Bye.